we didn't have that blow off top. I was expecting it, and yeah. Anyhow, I'm so thankful to be to have T-shares, and have a really nice staking ladder, and yeah, we're this is going to be amazing. We're all going to be so happy with what happens in the future. My gut feeling, and also my mind, after wrapping itself around all the intricacies of what Hex actually is, and Pulse and how that relates, and PulseX, and all the coins being built on Pulsechain, and all the utility, like just the function of money, in its truest, most fair sense, is what we are a part of, and it's the best in crypto. There's no doubt about it.
Did you ever join that Hex Foodies group I sent you, Rich?
I did. Yeah, I enjoy dropping in from now and again. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a little gem. KG, do you know about that one? Hex Foodies?
No, I don't.
Yeah, check that one out. Let me see if I can shoot you.
Been a farmer for 25 years. It's my passion, no doubt. And yeah, it's good to know how to retain wealth. And I definitely feel like the wealth of the earth, the traditional ways of eating obviously are better for our bodies. And how are we going to take profits? What are we going to do to improve our life? And I think a lot of that has to do with the highest quality food and the highest quality communities, which every culture, it's all about the food first, and the connection to the land. So
Well, you are what you eat.
that's true. I take it one step further. I say you are what your food eats. I'm pretty big into agronomy and understanding the relationship of minerals to actually our genetics, and how our bloodlines either improve or degrade through the generations, depending on the minerals that are present in the food that we're eating. And it's been proven through you know um, the genetics of ruminant animals.
Oh, bro, you look. I'm a very open-minded individual, so I hear exactly what you're saying, and I guess I don't have the scientific research that you're speaking to. That's actually the first time I heard that term. But if we look at food as energy, the things that we eat, the things they consume, it's that energy is passed down between the different species. And so, yeah, you are what you eat, and you are what your food eats. Or, yeah, exactly, exactly. I hear exactly what you're saying.
Both. Sure. Yeah, there's actually a book that I would recommend called Minerals for the Genetic Code by Dr. Richard Ulrey. And yeah, he basically goes into epigenetics, which is, yeah, the study of how, our genetics either they improve if you do the right things.
Does he claim, and I don't have any preconceived answer to this, legitimate place of curiosity, does he claim that the genetics can improve in one individual's lifetime, or would it have to be over like my children's children type of thing? Hey, Rich Wealth.
Oh man, I was muted.
Oh, damn. Oh, did you hear the question?
Oh, that's such a noob mistake. Let me see. For some reason, I got a call and my phone went on speaker. Okay, I think I can hear you guys now. I did hear the question. Yeah, so I was just Can you say it again? Sorry, I was halfway through my explanation.
Sure. Yeah, you said that something to the effect of the author suggests that guess what you're eating or what your eats can alter or improve your genetics. And then I asked, does he postulate that that can be attained over one individual's lifetime, or is it
Oh,
a my
right. Thank you.
children's children type thing?
Yeah, it's more like the third generation. They say something about that in the Bible, even about like the sins of the fathers will be cast upon the third generation. Um, and yeah, so I think with genetics, it takes a while, almost like, I found this to be common, which is we're more like our grandparents than our parents more often than not. Um, so yeah, I think genetics they kind of skip generations, but yeah, I think it's a cumulative effect to answer your question. And um, cumulative effects are definitely more difficult to see correlation, direct correlation. And that's where it can get kind of tricky and people maybe don't see what's actually happening. It's like a lag effect. But
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I think it can happen in one generation. Absolutely can. I mean, I've seen it in my own children eating all organic since I was a teenager. And when his mom and I, when we conceived, we fasted first and we did a lot of like, cleansing before we conceived.
That is absolutely incredible. I I envy you to a degree because I used to be a much healthier, more disciplined eater, but this last year or so I've lost grip of that discipline and I can feel it. My body, I know and I'm a slave to the food right now. You know, uh, I used to be a vegetarian, and not saying that that's right or wrong, but that it made me feel good personally. And now I just nothing's off limits anymore, and so it's just I wish I could get that discipline back.
Think, I think, the culture, the non-culture that we live in right now makes it difficult for all of us, with just all the processed foods. But, I see ultimately like there's a returning to that kind of, with large scale farming and denatured food, everyone kind of realized, oh, we're all getting sick. And now we need to kind of, you know, turn around and go back to those things that were traditionally really good for us, which is fresh food and whole food. You know, you can be a meat eater, a vegetarian, as long as it's as fresh and local as possible. But like to take it even a further step, I think agronomy is the future of food. And I want to actually create a new labeling system that's beyond organic, which is dependent on with fruits and vegetables. It's dependent on it's called a bricks reading, and it basically measures the mineral content in the food. And to be able to buy food and actually have it already tested for bricks, so you know exactly what's the best food, and that would keep the quality of the mineral quality of all the food really high.
It's funny
Okay,
because
so
I've talked to both of you guys, KG and Rich Wealth, talked to you guys separately, and I'm surprised that you guys don't know each other. But it's like it's yeah, it's good to see that you guys are meeting because KG and you guys are a lot alike in a lot of ways, you know. And Rich does produces raw milk, and so my wife and I have been giving our boys, our twin boys, raw milk since birth. It's the only thing that actually controlled one of my son's allergies or whatever he was going through. Maybe it was a vaccination or something, but our pediatrician recommended it. And I had all the stigmas around raw milk. It's like, oh, that's dangerous, and so I did my research like I normally do, and I found that it's actually the exact opposite. All of the E. coli or salmonella cases were pasteurized milk, and there's really
And
like
it's
almost no raw milk. Yeah,
Yeah,
cases
that's
of
directly correlated to how the farms, started their 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 goal was to produce as much milk as possible, and then the large scale, and then the quality went down. So uh, the bacterial actually changed depending on what your cows are being fed. If they're feedlot and it's just grain, the quality of the milk isn't. The bacteria in the milk will be so bad that it actually requires that pasteurization needs to happen for it to be safe.
oh
But
wow.
yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear your success story, your son's success story with it. It definitely is a consistent supply of diverse microorganisms that build healthy flora. So yeah,
Right, right.
it's great. And then,
My
and then there's like the quality of the fat. I think that's for me, that's what I really see as the biggest benefit. Once people have good gut flora, it's the animal fat, which is has this activator X compound that helps people with absorption of more minerals um, from their food. So if you have a raw animal fat, and there was a Dr. Weston Price, that did a discovery on that in the early 1900s with cultures that didn't have any cavities, where that was the one common denominator was a really good source of animal fat, and raw animal fat in particular.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah,
two
it's
of the smartest guys in crypto, guys. Whoever was listening, literally hands down, two of the smartest gentlemen in the Hex community and in crypto in general are talking right now. So you might want to take this all in.
wow, I don't know what to say. That's really humbling. I don't think of myself as smart in particular compared to Hexagons.
Man, Kinetics, I appreciate the kind words, bro. And Rich Wealth, it is good to meet you. And the thing about the Hexakin community is you don't have to be the most knowledgeable person in Hex or Pulse Chain from a technical level. Look at what you're talking about right now. This is the ethos of the Hex community. And dude, my mind is just spinning with questions to ask you right now. Like, I want to know, okay, I won't hold you to this, right? I won't take it as like, okay, not financial advice, not dietary advice, okay? Uh, but like, I live in Texas, and in my little pocket of Texas, there's kind of a farming culture, but the land is dry and it's hot and it's not wet. So like our crops kind of suck and we don't have a lot of like local produce culture. So what do I do? How do I get better food? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I off the top of my head, I had to think about that for a minute. I don't really know, but local farmers market, that's usually like the best way to source high quality food. Your organic stores, uh and yeah, I think health food stores are awesome. I think certain restaurants, there's definitely a big movement toward uh high quality restaurants providing and I'm kind of in a bubble living in Hawaii. It's weird. It's an interesting economy here, but locally here, I've noticed that the best restaurants are the ones that source most of their ingredients locally. Now, as far as what can be done from a farming standpoint in a hot, arid climate, with proper irrigation and good farming techniques, with I would say like the most advanced stuff that's going to be the biggest game changer in areas like that is something called biochar, and it's basically like carbon that's sequestered from the atmosphere, and it's related to terra preta, which is what they found that basically uh, raised the whole like Mayan and Aztec and Toltec cultures, was because that they learned how to basically create so what biochar is it's basically like apartment complex for microorganisms, and just like in our gut, the soil has to have that perfect balance and that diverse balance of microorganisms, and then the plants can absorb more minerals. It's fascinating, the correlation. But yeah, nice to meet you too, KG. I've come across your project, and I'm definitely wanting to learn more. It sounds like one of the best on the Pulsechain. And yeah, my mind is just starting to be like, is fully starting to wrap itself around these more fair ways of accessing money, you know? So thank you for your work.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. It's cool that you've heard of it. Yeah, I obviously can't shill it in here, but we have a room dedicated to it. So, you're welcome to join that and ask any questions you might have.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I know the first time I mentioned something in this room, Papa Boner got on my case right away, and that was the last time.
Yep, can't do it. Can't do it. Yeah, and my wife and I, we've tried to garden several times, and the last year, 2 years ago, was our first like real push. I got kind of nerdy about the soil types, and I didn't go biochar. I didn't even know that existed, but or whatever you said it was called. But I got what I consider to be was pretty nerdy about the soil and everything, and I planted all types of vegetables and fruit, and we were doing good. But then the sun, this lit full sun does not mean full Texas 105-degree sun. Not
Right.
no way. The sun destroyed. The only thing that thrived was this burgundy okra that I had, and I had
Wow.
more okra than I even wanted to eat, and
Wow.
that was cool. But other than that, the sun just destroyed everything.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it probably comes down to minerals in the soil. Because I actually learned farming in Southern California, where we had, very similar summers, very hot, above 100 degrees. I was like in the coastal desert, and yeah, and we had very healthy plants that did really well. Of course, there's certain crops that like that heat more. Just off the top of my head, it would be, tomatoes, peppers, um, watermelon, the different melons, summer squash. If I could recommend any book, it started me off on my farming um, path, and it is called Square Foot Gardening by Mel Bartholomew, and it basically gets you to understand each plant's requirement for like size and water, and helps kind of like, it teaches you a lot about each type of plant that you're growing, and it gives it basically the perfect spacing, and you give it the perfect amount of water. So it's a very intimate way of just like deep diving into growing food on a small scale. Yeah.
and that's really cool. Because I mean, yeah, I guess it all comes down to it's kind of like each plant has its own algorithm, and you just gotta play to its rules, play its game.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. It's just like wisdom in life, it's about observation. That's the name of the game. If you can be a good observer, then you can see through the bullshit. Um kind of switching gears there, but like, that's what Richard Hart's reminded me of, is learning to see completely what's in front of you. And he obviously is a master of that. Um yeah. I'm so excited about all of it. It's just like giddy feeling. My intuition has just been screaming to me for the past 8 months about everything that we're a part of, and yeah, I'm really excited about the things to come. I look forward to all of us doing extremely well, and being really good leaders for the future. I mean, I just see the humbleness that the Hexaking community has, and it's far and above everything else. Yeah, I mean, we got such a great community. It's a wonderful affirmation that I'm in the right place.
I hear you. I hear you on that. We are in a pocket of, I don't really know how to explain it, because it's hard to say I encounter this type of community off the internet, but especially on the internet and in a crypto community, I haven't found anything like this. I feel grateful too. I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's been a fun road. I've been in crypto since 2017. I kind of rode the very end of that bull market, and then sold my tractor at the bottom of the 2019 bear market, and was basically telling all my friends and family to get into crypto when Bitcoin was 3,000. So it's a little bit of claim to fame, but I still had a lot to learn, that's for sure, and rode some interesting coins up in this last bull market and did really well. But the saving grace was getting into the sacrifices, because it forced me to take profits earlier than I would have otherwise, or would have otherwise not, since we didn't have the blow off top. And yeah, I'm just extremely grateful for what Richard's done for those of us who sacked, and retaining that value and bringing it to the bottom of the market, So it's pretty amazing. I just try to educate myself as much as possible, and I'm definitely humbled to be amidst extremely intelligent financial people,
I do know. I hear you completely.
Yeah, the true finance. I kind of swore it off when I was younger. I could have probably I definitely could have taken a road of money, and I actually like did the Buddha thing, And it was only when I saw what crypto represented that I was like, wow, okay, now I'm into it. Now I'm into becoming rich. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, how we all. So money doesn't change you, but it definitely puts a magnifying glass on your life. And I think it's just really important for all of us to make sure that um as our life, all aspects of who we are and what we are increase, let's just make sure that we're doing the right things, So yeah, just take that humbleness with us as we rise up.
Yeah, money's a very interesting thing, because on one level you could obviously get gluttonous with it and do really awful or extreme, or just, really gluttonous, extravagant, yeah, there we go, things. Or it can be a tool to express ourselves. Right? There's so many things we want to do in this life that require money, even if that's helping somebody who's struggling in the grocery store to buy their groceries. Like, there's so many things that we can do with money to benefit ourselves and the world around us. So to have like a
Yeah,
healthy relationship.
so tell me, what are your dreams for when you have more than enough, and you can help out causes, or what kind of, in what ways do you think that you'll invest your money to make the world a better place?
That's a really good question. It's a hard one, because of course I want to help those around me first. I don't come from a background of wealth, and you know, my mom, she's in a struggling situation to some extent, right? So is my grandma. So it's just like so many members of my family, beautiful people, but they're never going to like get out of that mindset that I don't want to say poverty, but the opposite of abundant. I can't think of the exact word right now, but they don't have an abundant mindset, and they're so stuck. They can't see beyond that. And it's like, I would love to just go in. Here you go, mom. Here you go, grandma. Here's a house for you. And then after that, you know, my own family. I mean, my own personal family. I have a wife. I have 2 children myself. So, of course, again, part of that initial selfishness would be, hey, George, I'm getting some feedback from your mic, bud. Yep. Part of that initial selfishness would be like, you know, set us up, of course, buy a house. We own a house, but we're still paying off the mortgage. Just get debt free would be nice. And then just find ways to help my fellow human being. I don't know exactly what that means or looks like, but I know that answer will come. I just know that I want to do it.
Well, it seems like you've already and begun that path with your project. But yeah, it's a important question for all of us to I believe ask, especially that we're in at the ground level, pre-viral with all this stuff. So yeah, I just want to become the best farmer that I can be and produce as much food and basically set something up to where then I can back away from it. And it can run itself, so that way I don't feel like I'm selfish if I'm going out and living off my solar sailboat for years at a time.
Dude, that sounds awesome. It's like a great life.
Yeah, totally. My goal is 50 years old. Not too far away, but yeah, the technology, is just beyond right now with sailing. The engineering, the ability to not depend on, having to go in and get diesel wherever you're at. Um, I like that. I like the freedom. Um, I mean that's ultimately what money represents to me is freedom. Um, and yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. My immediate family first, and then my extended family second, and then um, my business will be third, and yeah, and then it'll be time to you know, uh, just have the proper people run things and be able to back out um, completely and have it run itself, like a passive stream of income without being greedy. Just a little tiny cream off the top. That's all. But to feel good to know that that I didn't, so to speak, retire and that I like left a lasting production of goodness in the world.
I hear that completely. I hear that completely.
That's to be thankful for. Yeah, it's us as a community. I think we're gonna shift the paradigm in the financial world. It's just fascinating with the gatekeeping that happening on Hex. That was definitely a really big affirmation for me to know that um what we're a part of is something very powerful. And they're not going to get their way, but they did they probably they probably realized that they would lose less money by just getting sued and losing the lawsuit. I'm speaking of coin market cap, than actually allowing Hex to be the third largest crypto, which of course it was. And yeah, this next bull run's gonna be cuckoo. Richard Hart said Ethereum's gonna flip Bitcoin in this next bull run. I heard. I don't know if anyone else heard that.
I think for that question, we could transition to PulseX or Thor. They might be a little better to address that one.
Or PulseX, you guys, did you guys hear that? Richard Hart comment about Ethereum flipping Bitcoin in this next bull?
I didn't hear that. But I did hear him say that basically it was like a 2x or 3x away. This last time around. So, but maybe I missed it.
Yeah, I didn't hear him say that either, but that would not surprise me.
Well, Richard, I may or may not be right on that, but I do love how he puts those golden nuggets of truth in from time to time.
Yeah, I think I remember him saying that I think he might have said it was possible that that ETH could flip Bitcoin in the next bull. And
Okay.
I think that it's, even if it's not the next bull, I think eventually it's highly possible. I don't know about probable, but definitely possible that ETH flips Bitcoin, because there's just so much more being built upon ETH and so much more going into that ecosystem. Obviously, there's more money going into Bitcoin. That's why the market cap's higher. But I don't know. I think that ETH definitely has a chance to be number one. There's just so much financial applications and technology and innovation happening in the Ethereum network.
Yeah, and the implications of ETH being the number one coin are very huge in regards to Pulsechain, yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
What was the other extremely bullish thing about Hex that Richard said? I mean, he's obviously said a lot, but it was in particular that stood out to me was something regarding it basically following in the footsteps from an X factor standpoint of Bitcoin, doing the 1.6 million X, and I think I did the figures, and that means we would still have like a 1600 X left in Hex from 4 cents, which I think would take it to $50. I'm not checking my math right now. That was just off the top of my head, but something fantastic like that.
Could you, unless someone else wants to speak to it, could you say that one more time?
Oh, don't quote me on this. I might have the numbers wrong, but I believe that it was, that Bitcoin did a 1.6 million X, and that he said somewhere that that's what he thinks Hex maybe it was could do. And then I just did the math quickly and figured out what that actually meant for us if, say, we where that takes us basically. And I think it was somewhere around $50. Maybe it was more, but nonetheless it was extremely bullish, and it made me happy.
Yeah, of course, anything in this reality is possible, but I'm not sure. My personal opinion would be that's not a probable price point for Hex. I mean, the amount of economic energy that would have to come into Hex, like in order for Bitcoin to be or to hit that 6.5 million X, it literally had to be the number one most traded, talked about, utilized cryptocurrency in the world. Now, can Hex do that? Sure. Will it? I'm not sure.
Are you? I mean, obviously, you know that price appreciation isn't solely dependent on market cap, right? And it has to do with liquidity pools. Of course, you know that. That's why I kind of believe it can, but maybe I'm mistaken.
Sure, of course. But think about when Hex was at 55 cents. That market or the liquidity pool at that time, and PulseX, please correct me if I'm wrong on this number, but I believe the liquidity pool at 55 cents was like $70 million. So if it took 70 million to get to 55 cents, it's going to take hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in the liquidity pool. Like 700 million-ish plus dollars. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, I suppose maybe from a T-share standpoint, it looks a lot better.
Well, now if we get more people coming in and we get more and more stakers, which then makes the available hex on the market more valuable. Now that could be a path that we take that's going to help price appreciation. But yeah, I mean that's one thing that could help that price appreciation. And
I'm
of
sure
course,
Whales as a chart for that ratio of you know, the amount of stakers, right? And what's the percentage of non-OA addresses and is the stake I think the stake length is increasing, right? So that's bullish in that regard.
so yes, that is bullish. And you know, I know market cap is a vanity metric, and we can't necessarily use market cap as the ultimate determination for what a project can or cannot do. And at this moment in time, that, in my opinion, is still just a theory, right? Like, even though Einstein knew that his theory of relativity was true, and it only later in history became the law of relativity, the theory that market cap isn't a factor is still just that. Because right now, the token that has held the highest market cap is Bitcoin. And I believe it was 1.4 trillion at its all-time high. With the current supply of Hex, and this is actually a little less than what it actually is, but I just used a round number, at 650 billion, that's without the 3.69% inflation, right? Because so more is going to come into existence. If you multiplied 650 billion times $50, you get a market cap of 32.5 trillion, which is roughly 30 times that of what Bitcoin hit at its all-time high. So Hex would have to do a 30x in terms of market cap, or 25 or 26-ish x in terms of market cap to hit $50 in comparison to Bitcoin. And then it would have, so
Just
even
in
then,
terms of market cap, though.
Sure. And
so what's
yeah,
the influence of, like, there's got to be some sort of mathematical equation for, like, basically the liquidity pool and how it would have to Like what percentage would it have to increase? Or excuse me, what percentage would it have to decrease through time in order to pump the price a certain amount, you know?
I hear you. And I don't have that number. I don't know that number. But I do know that it would probably be, so like if Hex at 55 cents had a liquidity pool of 70 million-ish, could be a little less, could be a little more, then in order to hit $50, that's effectively a 10x in price, which even if but that wouldn't be a 10x in the liquidity pool. It would probably have to do more X's in the liquidity pool because it takes more economic energy to move the price as number goes up. So I don't know what the number is, but it could be in order for Hex to hit $50, it could be well over $1 billion in liquidity. That would have to occur.
Yeah. So the way that liquidity pools work, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, hit us, bro. Preach.
Sorry. Yeah. So if no liquidity is like added or removed, right? Because it's always fluctuating, so that's why it makes it even more difficult, right, to calculate and deal with. But the way it works is if you want 100x, let's say, in price, right, which is basically what we're getting to get to $5, I guess.
$50.
So you want it, yeah. So if you want $50, you want 1,000x that number then. So what that means is it actually takes the square root of that multiple times the liquidity, right? So if you take the square root of 1,000, I think that should be 31 and change. And so basically you need to put 31 times more people have to basically buy up Hex and deposit USDC or whatever, whatever's on the other side, in order to get 1,000x out of that, right? You basically, if you want, whatever you want, you basically just square root that multiple, and then that's how much more value has to get bought up on the other side. Because as one side goes up, the other side goes down. So, it's easier to deal with it, let's say with 100x, right? If you want 100x in price, it only takes a 10x in the actual liquidity amount, right? But if you're 10xing the liquidity, you're actually also basically removing you're removing 90%, so you're only left with 1/10 of the actual hex or that token on the other side, right? So the 1/10 times the 10 gets you that 100x. But like I said, it's all very variable because people are adding and removing some liquidity all the time. As the price goes up, people extract some value out of it, and that's why it's not easy to calculate, because you just can't calculate into account basically people's willingness to sell, right? When is everyone's price point? And there's a lot of people before $50 comes that are going to exit Hex. It's just another 1,000x. It's going to happen, right? It's basically another bull cycle, at least.
So did you hear my 70 million thing? Was that an accurate way to look at it, or was that incorrect?
I was a little busy at the time, I think. Yeah.
Okay, well, basically what I was saying was that when Hex was at like 55 cents, the liquidity, there was about, again, it could be up or down or higher or lower than this, but about 70 million-ish dollars in the liquidity pool. So if you 10x the price, $55, it's not an equal 10x to the liquidity pool, right? You would actually have to X the liquidity pool more, because as more money gets added to the pool, it takes more economic energy. So it might be like, again, arbitrary numbers just to prove a point, but it might be like a 15 or 20x to the liquidity pool to achieve a 10x in price. or some ratio to that effect?
Well, it should just be the square root, really. So it actually takes less money in the liquidity pool to run it up. Like if it's at 50 cents, if it was at 50 cents and it was 70 million, we just need 100x from there to get the $50. So you actually only need to do a 10x on the liquidity pool.
Really?
So you would have needed 700 million in the liquidity pool to have that work out. Yeah, it's crazy how it works out. But like, there's a big gap between 50 cents and $50, right? Where, yeah, if you do it in 1 second, it's fine. But like, as soon as everybody sees it at $50, everyone's going to sell, right? And so that drains the liquidity pool. It's got to be, it's got to be. I mean, it doesn't have to be sustained, I guess, but it's got to be. The confidence has to be built up to reach that level, because every time we go up a little bit, every 2x, people are going to pull out, right? A little bit. And we really need these kind of bear markets to, really chase people away and then get new people at a higher price to come in. Then they're going to hold for longer, right? Because they weren't in from the, they don't even have a, 10x or 100x or whatever, maybe they're only got like a 2x and they're looking for their, 20x or 50x. So you need to go through a few of these boom and bust cycles to get the confidence up to say, hey, yeah, Hex is actually worth $50. It'll be interesting, right? We'll see. I mean, hell, I'll be happy if it hits $2. Next bear cycle, or next bull cycle. If it hits $2, I'll be happy. Yeah, that's for sure. So, and then you just got to think about, okay, well, how many other people are going to be, happy at that point and then want to take some off the table just to be safe or whatever, if they want to, build a house or, start a new business and, they need some funding money, even though it's kind of silly to take it from crypto because it's like the best way to make money, that we've ever seen. But, if you got other ambitions and you don't want to wait, then, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not mad at $2. I'm not mad at $2 at all.
So did anything newsworthy happen today or no?
Not to my knowledge.
Was Richard in any spaces today?
Not to my knowledge.
All right. Yeah, I kind of spent the day at the beach and just, let the phone sit in the bag there.
Hey, good man. You deserve it. It's very important to get away.
Yeah, you guys were trying to talk to me earlier when I was trying to put my paddleboard away, and I had like 10 minutes to get out of there before they locked the gates.
We're like, Profex, tell us about liquidity pools. You're like, I'm just trying to paddleboard.
Yeah. I mean, paddleboarding is easy. But yeah, trying to balance it in the storage is the difficult part.
I think this is the most people I've seen in here in a while. How's everyone doing?
What's up, KG?
Meh, low.
K.
What's up, guys?
G.
Oh,
What's
this.
up? Pulse chain.
Pulse. Chain. Gang.
Are we launching next month?
No one knows, brother.
Oh my god. No one knows, brother. But listen, let's I think that question is out the window. Let's just all talk about something else. And then when Richard Hart says Pulse Chain is live, then we can say, oh, Pulse Chain, yes, let's go.
I wonder how many people are going to be in this chat when Pulse Chain goes live.
Oh, we're hitting 1,000. We're hitting more than this shit is gonna proxy us out. It's gonna kick us, like it's gonna just start tripping.
It sounds like somebody's talking, but I can't really quite hear them. Can I ask a question real quick, you guys?
Go for it.
Okay, so I've been kind of paying attention to the anons on 4chan and all this stuff for years now, and I'm just hearing this stuff circulating around about the quantum financial system and how some people are saying like, oh, all other cryptos are going to crash besides the ISO 2022 coins and all this stuff. Is it even possible for the powers that be, whatever, to like completely switch over to a new system and just like completely remove the entire internet as it is today? Or would that be impossible? Or, I mean, that's the question I'm leading to me, is because I got a lot invested into Pulse X, and like I really don't want to lose my investment. So I'm hearing this story, and I'm just like hoping that somebody can dispel it. If it's a myth, if somebody can dispel that for me. Like I've heard some couple people say, like, I haven't really gotten a satisfactory answer, but I've heard people say that it's impossible because you'd have to like, there's all these different servers all around the world, and there's just no way to really turn them all off, and there's like backup systems and all that stuff. Can anybody shed some light on any of these ideas?
All right, Wave Rider. I love where your head's at. But if the internet goes down or gets co-opted, we have bigger problems than your PulseX Sacrifice. No offense. We're in a different state of the world at that time. Something crazy is going on. So, yeah, I can't imagine that happening, but I'm just some dude on the internet.
Right on, man. Thanks.
Hey guys, what would the world look like?
Probably would be a lot happier people.
Everybody be more social. No more phones.
Way fewer snowflakes, a lot more libertarians.
Yeah, whoever said that, right on.
Yeah, you got to be careful going into what I call the bowels of the internet. Now, don't get me wrong. I am all for a good conspiracy theory, anti-government. You know, I'm all for it. But, you know, that's the land of imaginary horribles, as Richard would call it. If that happens, if any of those, that might even be considered, you might even be able to consider that an apocalyptic event in today's society.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's what the zombie apocalypse. And the last thing you're going to worry about is your crypto at that point.
Exactly.
You're gonna be worried about how many goddamn likes you're missing.
You're worried about, man, where my granola bars at?
Oh, what is Kim Kardashian doing today?
Exactly. I love the
Gotta find a
internet.
VCR to play out that porn. Betamax?
Look at some pictures.
Yeah, stick figures.
Shoot, now they got dolls now. They got a doll for you if you're lonely. How you been, KG though? What's that? What is that star?
I fed the beast. I paid Telegram.
Oh,
Yep. I'm not proud of it, but there was a few fake KGs popping up. And since I don't meet the criteria to be verified, I thought at least doing this was one layer, you know, to help with that.
what if somebody else just verifies and just gets KG? Like
Yeah,
finishes up
if
the.
the scammers pay for the subscription, I mean, not saying there is this much, but let's say there's 10. Okay, if one or two pays for the subscription, then it's like, all right, at least I cut 6 or 7 of them out. I don't know. I don't want people to get wrecked. I'm never going to ask for your keys. Anybody listening right now, no legitimate person in crypto is ever going to ask you for your seed phrase. They're never going to ask you for your private key. Their coins aren't locked up in an exchange. If they text you and say, hey, I have money in a wallet, if you just send the gas to the wallet and help me get it out, and you think you're going to outsmart them, they got a bot already. They're going to steal your ETH. They're just nothing legitimate is happening if people DM you with the weird situation. Don't get wrecked. How's everybody else doing out there? Anyone new to the community? Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
Listen, shout out to Steak and Bake. Every time I come in here when I was in vacation, he was in here. It was only like 5, 10 people, and he was one of those people, just chilling every time.
Snaps for steak and bake, everybody.
You going to PulseCon, KG?
Yes, sir. We'll have a booth there,
Hey,
and I'll be giving a talk.
hey, I'm gonna see you there.
Let's go.
You get to finally put a face to the voice.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to meet my fellow community members. I haven't been able to make it to any of the Hex conferences, so it'll be very cool to actually shake some hands, bump some fists.
Yes, and they said that it's gonna be a lot of non post chain or non hex people there, and that's who I'm really wanting to meet, because that is adoption, adoption, adoption. Because we can build, a vast community, aside from the hexagons, like um, this is legendary.
You're right. We only continue to grow if more people come into the ecosystem.
Hey KG, you guys need any help? Well, let me know, man. I'll put some hours down.
I appreciate you. I truly do. I will let you know. Thank you for the offer.
Yeah, I'm down. That's gonna be in my list of things to talk about when I meet new people. I'm gonna definitely talk about that wallet.
It's going to be an onboarding machine.
It's free money, free pulse, baby.
It is. We'll be giving away. Well, there's a wallet that'll be giving away free pulse, but maybe one day we'll be able to talk about it in here like we can talk about MetaMask.
Have you ever been into like the Polygon and the Ada Telegram chats and stuff? They never have voice chats. We're like the only chain that's gonna have a voice chat, right?
Oh yeah, man. That's one amazing thing about the Pulse Chain community is that you can hop in here, have a conversation with someone, either voice or text, and yeah, maybe in the beginning it seems weird, but like there's admins, there's active community members. It's like we're spoiled. I go to when I'm researching other projects, I jump into their Telegram and I see, you know, I want to talk to people, ask questions. It is not the same. It is not at all the same.
I ain't gonna lie. There, it's not. It's not there. We have a lot of well knowledgeable people in this community. Like, oh my god, it's just like what I hear on everywhere else. It's just I feel like you know everyone's here for one thing, but there's there's so many things that this DeFi space can bring for us. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just hope and wish that it doesn't die, like the chat doesn't die out like these other chains we need to hold strong and always be here, like, because I remember trying to get some help, and I got in one and started typing in the chat. I got a message back 3 days later, and no one messaged in that chat for 3 days. Not an admin, not nobody. And I was like, dude, I already got it figured out. Like, you can come in here and say, hey, something's not working right. Okay, go, you gotta go do this, this, and that. Someone's gonna help you, either in voice chat or chat. And I feel like that's great. And also Twitter Spaces, like that's another thing that I've seen. Like we are growing. Oh my god.
No, I don't think this chat will ever die. I mean, it's very dead right now because there's nothing to talk about. It's just when launch, right? We've basically had all the conversations you can possibly have about Pulsechain. We've considered every scenario, every reality. New people coming in, it's great. We're still here for them. If you're new out there, you have any questions, we're here for you. But once Pulsechain is live, I imagine this chat is going to be revitalized to its former glory. There's going to be people in here all the time asking about how to do this, how to do that. How do I, what do I do with my free tokens? I can only imagine all the questions. It's going to be busy again.
Yeah, so one thing I have been doing, I have collected a FAQ for the times I've been in here. I have a list of FAQs, and we're gonna have to put that in the combat, what is it? Combat, and definitely need to get that going because yeah, that will help.
Absolutely. I remember the days of being in here and like there being 100 people and you're literally just like, okay, next question. And there was just somebody ready with the question. Those days were amazing. I really miss that.
Oh yeah, you miss it being the same question.
I actually didn't even mind that. Because it's so awesome helping new people, and it's awesome that we can provide that for new people, that we can create an atmosphere that nobody in the crypto space is used to. They almost don't believe it. It's so helpful. I loved that.
Hey, Mello. Just wanted to mention that your voice chat's really quiet. We got you pumped up to 200, but it's still kind of quiet on my end. But the original sacrifice for Pulsechain, was crazy, right? Yeah, the support there with Papa and Walrus basically just tag teaming it, not sleeping for days, it seemed like. Yeah, that was just nonstop.
I remember that, dude. I remember like before I knew Walrus, just hearing Walrus and like, how does this guy know all this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it because I don't remember them as much beforehand, right? Like I think I remember them coming in, beforehand and talking a little bit, but then all of a sudden at Sacrifice, it was just nonstop. They were just answering questions left and right, and it was amazing.
Yo,
Oh yeah,
can y'all hear me now?
perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, like I can say the same thing. Like when I got in, right, it was way before Sacrifice even started, and I was just chilling, and dude, that dude Papa was cracking me up. And by the way, this is the time when I was not really intrigued by Richard Hart. Um, I understand what he was saying, like especially the past videos, when he was talking about, social awareness, stuff like that. Like I understand those, but then the other ones started, like his live streams just started getting too cocky for me. I just didn't like him as a person, but what he was saying was had nothing to do with it. So then I didn't, I was like, okay, weary, boom. I came in the chat. I listened, I listened, I listened. I was like, yo, these guys are funny and hilarious. And the questions that are keep coming in, I was just listening. Like, I was like, bro, I was like, dude, I can like, it was just so fun, and like y'all just kept the energy going. Like Papa, Mando, Walrus just kept it going. I was like, bro, what the hell? And then I had to come in with a security question, and he chewed my ass. He was about the safe pal shit that I had, and so I was always safe. I've never gotten hacked, but just because he just snapped on me, I just switched, and I always have good security posture, but that was just a good lesson, and I felt like he brought back the cypherpunks privacy, like that we need, that security. um and other than that, the community came in, like other people just conversating, putting in their 2 cents, trying to help out, and it was amazing, man. Like the beginning, post change, I can imagine what the beginning of Hex looked like. How was you guys doing that? Oh my god. Yo, what the hell is wrong with my shit? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh wow, now it's green. Did I put y'all to sleep?
No, bro, I actually feel bad. I didn't know if you were talking to me or Profex, but I walked away for a minute to get a bowl of cereal, so I missed what you said.
Nah, you good. Nah, I was talking to both of y'all, but it's straight. I was just talking actually. It's 11:30 at night, and I'm just blowing one down and being mellow over here. And I guess my phone was tripping. I don't know. I had to speak louder, and I hate speaking loud.
You are mellow.
Cypher, you said something. What's going on? You're here, bruh. It's 32 people. Yeah, nah, this is the most I've seen in a minute.
Yeah, man, I was listening to you talk about the olden days. I've been here listening the whole time. never had a mic to talk. But I made a vow to stay in this chat until we launched 10,000x. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I hope everyone comes back soon, but yeah. I'm sure they're off doing something good. It is summertime, and we're going to see people start coming back soon, even if it doesn't launch a couple months from now. Everything starts winding down.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll see. I definitely think we'll see growth back in the Telegram room, but I don't think we'll see it until there's news. I think once we start getting that news, oh yeah, Pulsechain launches. Oh, Mello, you might be right, dude. You know, when we did the PulseX Sacrifice, I saw that room. ProfX, Mello, you guys probably know, but like I think the highest I saw it, I was like 240 people. Can you imagine when Pulsechain launches? Oh my, we're gonna have 300, 400, 500 in here, easy. Probably.
No, yeah, well, no, we're gonna have 700 in Pulsechain. We're gonna have 700 in PulseX, and then we're gonna have another 300 in Twitter Spaces. Like, and it's all gonna be all about Pulsechain. Pulsechain's launch. It's gonna be a launch party everywhere, for real.
Apps, yeah. All the influencers that are on YouTube, they're gonna go live. Tweets are gonna blow up. It could break Twitter. We might break it.
Hashtag Pulsechain.
Yeah, I don't think it's that hard to break Twitter. I don't know. Their Twitter, I mean, their Twitter Spaces at least is trash for a program. I don't get it. I mean, I guess it's hard to do, right? So there's that, but it's just so trash.
Why?
Just, I mean, it crashes on you from time to time. I don't know. If the screen goes black, it mutes you while you're talking, right? Even though you have the microphone on. There's so many weird things that go on in it. It's just, yeah, it's just not well done.
Yeah, I was in the Twitter space the other day when Richard was in there. I was able to speak for a few minutes, and I literally jumped in there and I was like, "Shout out to my boy Richard!" And literally, when I listened to the playback, it was just like silence, and then no one even heard it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, they got a lot of proxy issues. They're gonna fix it. They're in version 10 right now, or 9. They need to do that 10 update very soon. It's been what, like a year since they did the last real major update?
Yeah, it's fairly new technology there.
I think they only started the Spaces last October, November, something like that. But yeah, if they haven't, I haven't followed it, but I don't know if they've. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's actually crashed on me lately. The last 2-3 times I've joined, but then I haven't tried to speak either, I guess. So there's that.
There's the morning wood.
Oh, me, Mr. Bonnet, Mr. Bonnet.
All right, guys, I gotta hop out for a few, but I'll jump back in a bit. If I don't see you, it was good talking with everyone.
Just as I'm coming on board, you're leaving. Nice.
Yeah, your name absolutely offended me. I can't.
He's scared of the Bonnet.
Look, you got too much meat, bro. You got meat in your picture, meat in your name. It's just too much meat for me.
Nice to meet you.
All right, talk to y'all soon.
I saw activity in here. I saw Mello. I saw Profex actually speaking. I was waiting to get the knowledge. And then everything goes dark as soon as I come in, like a mush. I've got bad luck here.
You want some alpha? This is what we're talking about, bro. We're talking about you, and you came in here. Like, we had to stop talking, you know?
It's him. I'm
It's
literally
him.
in the middle with my laptop you made me purchase with my treasures that I got all secure. I'm like, oh, I'm on
Nice.
Linux, bro, and I'm like, oh, so yeah. Oh wait, I did have a question. Just regular Windows or Linux? What do you think is more secure now? I thought I heard you say something the other day where you thought regular Windows
Yeah.
was.
Okay. So more secure. Linux in the right hands, with the right understanding of how to manage it and update it, can be very, very secure. On the other hand, if you don't know what you're doing with Linux, it's possible that you can actually expose yourself more than using Windows. So if there's any doubt, start with Windows and then, get familiar with your Linux operating system, decide what flavor you like, what appeals to you, and make sure that you do lots of research before jumping into that Linux foray. But used in the right hands, man, Linux is supreme.
Yeah, definitely good advice. I'm just going ahead with Linux. It's really not that hard. There's no surprise. It's easy to keep updated. And see, don't install anything extra. Just it's nice bare bones. I do enjoy it. So if that's all that it's
Cool.
about, yeah, go with that.
That's great. That's great. If you feel confident and you're updating it and you know how to do that and stay vigilant, then yeah, it's great. And you're using that in association, of course, with your hardware wallet. So yeah, I think that's a really great thing. You got a dedicated laptop, you've got your hardware wallet, you're running Linux, you're getting more and more familiar with it. You're going to be ready for everything.
I'm ready. I didn't want to make the wallet just yet. I keep doing it, and I spend all this effort into putting a cipher into the words, and I still don't have the proper titanium. That has been annoying, but I got stuff. I got enough stuff to do something with, and I just don't
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean,
create.
you could do the fender washer method, right, with stainless steel. Because a lot of people do have a hard time getting commercially pure titanium. It was rough before COVID, but now it's become increasingly difficult.
Yeah, supply chain, ain't it? Inflation. It didn't change the prices.
I mean, I got a piece of brass too. I like it looks like with the punch and brass, it looks nice. I know it'll melt a lot easier, but
It's okay. I mean, as if that's your sole backup, then you would have a problem. But level up when you can.
I literally can't wait. I'm all ready, thanks to you, by the way, to get that passphrase wallet going, and then I'll finally be secure. I feel like getting to that stage, once I able to move the PLSX to that, we're definitely doing good then.
Oh yeah, so you know, mainnet launch, you move it into that wallet, then go get yourself a 72-hour nap like I'll be taking, and wake up nice and fresh. That's one thing I did double check last night. Um, People keep asking me about the engrave because some people in our community are really shilling it hard. And the one of many reasons I would caution people to move forward with an engrave is their passphrase enabled hidden wallets are still on their roadmap. And as for me, that's become a minimum viable product to have the ability to do hidden wallets. So if you're researching it, come back to me when you're done with it, and let's see again why for $400 versus a Trezor One with the same passphrase enabled hidden wallets, I should take a look at this new fancy thing with a battery on board that may melt down after 3 years because I don't endorse anything with batteries on board. But still, I'd like to know how is this better mousetrack built, and let's take a serious look at it. But yeah, I can't get down with anything without passphrase.
Rackham's new wallet. Let me take a look at it.
So you're telling me that
Yeah.
new thing everyone's talking about cannot you can't get a new derivation path with a passphrase?
No, you cannot yet. It's still on their roadmap for their $400 first alpha shipping product device made in Belgium. It looks sexy as all get out. It looks sexy, but things I don't like about it, there's a long list of things I don't like about it. Having
Did you
worked
say
in software,
400?
hardware, it's $400. Yep.
Yeah, I'm good with my Trezor. I'll go get a ledger if I need to.
Yeah, right. You get a 3-pack of ledgers if you need to, for like less than half of that. But again, the thing I can't get my head around is this had a it's a seed round or angel round of funding outfit. They raised $6 million. If I was reading that right, it was very late last night. But let's say that they had $6 million in the bank after their round. They have hardware, software, and two pieces of software overhead. Both the software that takes the firmware for the actual hardware device and the client that goes on your phone. They've got to develop all that and make sure those are secure. Hardware, they've got to build it outside of China. That's their big thing, right? It's made in Belgium. So that's higher overhead. And I know from my experience, you could easily blow through $1 million a month on that type of development. Now they have a backlog of orders that they're going to show to investors and say, if you give us, our round A, round B, give us more money and we'll make good on these orders. And then of course we'll take everything by storm. I've seen things like this run out of cash. I've seen things like this not keep up with the market because they're too busy building a Rube Goldberg of technology that's untested, because they may be very smart, but they're not solving a problem that can be articulated or understood to be an actual problem today. So in security, we don't blindfold ourselves and shoot magic bullets around the room believing that we're going to hit a bad guy. We have to keep our eyes open, wait till they make themselves known, and then take aim and fire. Unfortunately, it's a sad, sad truth is that security trails the exploits. So I can't for the life of me figure out why this ornate system that relies on a smartphone to be able to scan a barcode solves a problem that Trezor and Ledger don't, especially with passphrases. If they don't have passphrases, I would say that they're inferior out of the gate. But if they get passphrases, now I'm just going to ask, what problem does this very convoluted, I would say, and yet very interesting method to scan these barcodes that are generated from offline, how this is better or solves a problem that is identified? I don't see it. I'm trying to. I want to love it. I want somebody to educate me, but now I cannot see it.
What's the name of this wallet?
Engrave. Ngrave.
Hey, Papa, that's what Rochelle's pushing, though, right? Rackham Rochelle.
That's correct. That's correct. He's been very, shall we say, passionate about this type of technology. He originally endorsed a product called Elipal Titan, which has the same basic idea, but it's a Chinese outfit. And he and I locked horns over that. Not only the fundamental question mark about why a soldered together black box hardware wallet made in China was a bad idea, but also that the technology didn't solve a problem that was identified, to which he resorted to ad hominems and attacking me on this chat. So it's a bit suspicious that we can't have an honest to goodness debate, especially when it's concerning security, not just for our community, but for anybody that's listening in, right? On the YouTube stream. But there was no retort other than, okay, you're so smart, you try to crack it. I'll give you $1 million if you can crack it. Well, it comes pre-cracked if it comes from China in the case of Elipal, because all the encryption methods must be documented and the keys to decrypt must be registered with the Chinese state and military. That is the law in China. So he moved on to the next best thing, which was the same basic idea, but this time out of a very small company made out of Belgium, a GoFundMe outfit actually called Engrave. And hold on a second. Let me grab a delivery. I'll be right back.
Papa in the house.
All right, sorry about that. All right, so I suspect, and I have not confirmed, but if my recollection is accurate, which always has to be double checked, Engrave actually came out with their press releases and their fundraising for advanced orders for this type of device before Elipal came out with theirs. So what I think is, and again from my experience, Elipal being a Chinese company is closer to the production. They have the ability to rev up the assembly lines overnight. And after making some basic spec requirements in Shenzhen, they could probably have a prototype done in about 48 hours. So they kind of looked at Engrave's idea and then got a casing, which of course is soldered shut from an old secure handset that I saw. The actual casing that they're using is a repurposed secure handset that I saw back in Barcelona maybe 3 years before they came out with the LPAL Titan. And I was really curious. I mean, they came out with this really quick to market. They had no experience doing this, and it was very funny that it came out strikingly close to the time that Engrave was saying that we've derived this whole thing. We've got this cryptographer, we've got this methodology, we've really put some thought into this. It's a way of getting barcodes in. It's a very, very cold way of securing your keys and blah, blah, blah. And then LPAL says, hey, guess what? We have this magic bullet over here. It's tamper resistant, and it's only $100, and shipping now, and in fantastic fruit flavors and colors, and has a Bitcoin logo on the back, so everyone will know that it's a hardware wallet. And it's air gapped, just like these guys claim to. And neither of them are air gapped. So if you fall for that whole bullshit about being air gapped, then that falls on its face pretty damn quick. There is no air gapped system. There's no air gapped improvement that either of these or any hardware manufacturer or software manufacturer provides to you for crypto wallets today. Air gap would assume that you have your seeds written on paper and not on any machine whatsoever. That is air gapping. So what they say is that it resides on a device that does not itself connect up real time to any live connection to the internet. That is a interesting way to say that it's air gapped, but because it relies, both of them, both the LPAL and the Engrave, rely on firmware updates that have to be introduced into the device via, I believe, and again, I'm trying to remember precisely how this is done on the Engrave. I believe that for the LPAL, it's an SD card. For the Engrave, it may either be an SD card or there's mention of a USB cable. And last but not least, there's a battery on board on both of these devices. There's a lot of real estate under the hood to have interesting things go on with reverse engineering, because these companies are, you're taking them at their word that they're not putting any kind of USB device that phones home and gives any data to any other place without you knowing. Whereas the ledger and Trezor can be cracked open easily, and you can see for yourself whether or not there's anything on that motherboard. It's a minor give and take, right? It can also be reverse engineered by an attacker if it falls into the control of that attacker, physical control of that attacker. Then of course we know that both the ledger and Trezor, all lines of both companies, can be reverse engineered in a matter of minutes in the right hands. But the LPAL and the Engrave cannot be opened without destroying all the mechanisms inside. And this type of thing in the palm of your hand comes from the secure comms market that I was engaged in many years ago. That was the big thing. So they've adapted that to hardware wallets now. The problem is that if there's a ticking time bomb of a small cell rechargeable battery on board in the case of both of these devices, eventually you can guarantee, and all you users of the Ledger Nano X can attest, that eventually, in a matter of a few years, those batteries will fail. Some of them will actually pucker to the point where they put pressure on the chipset and the entire unit is bricked. For my money, I like nothing with any kind of battery on board. So, I mean, I'm just delving deeper into this. I'm being asked like daily by multiple people, what do I think about the Engrave? It's because there is a marketing push, and because it comes from within our community, that there are people with vested interests. Now, I cannot guarantee it, but they just completed their first round of funding, $6 million, and they're probably open for the next. So it's assumed that certain members of our community are engaged in that funding round and have a vested interest in shilling technology to you where your funds are secured. I'll tell you this. Don't take my word for any of this. But find data points coming from people that don't have skin in the game. That, go and they don't take any cash or have any interest in giving you advice where security is concerned, that puts money in their pocket directly or indirectly. No ref links, no investments, no interest whatsoever. That is my best advice to you. And I'm only one data point on a long strand of data points that you should be considering before making a purchase for a hardware wallet. Any questions or any counter argument?
Well, the other thing too, Papa, is this. The same old saying is, what ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So the Ledger and Trezors, yeah, they've had some compromises in the past, but overall they've held up pretty well. And I feel that to get away, it's the same old same. What ain't broke, don't fix it. So I think people are trying to go to other technologies that are no better than what we already have. I'm not talking about cost, because when you talk about security, I don't care about cost, right? If I'm spending €400 on something that's infinitely more secure, then it's a small amount of money as far as I'm concerned. But
I agree.
It's not better though, right? It's not better technology.
That's a really good point. It's not better, it's not broke, so don't fix it. I would consider that a very binary thing. So it's not that those other devices and those other companies have held up pretty well. There is no pretty well. It's either they still have the confidence of the market or they've been hacked. If they have been hacked, then they are useless. As in, the company has lost the market, they're gone. So the minute that somebody truly cracks, other than, of course, the known vulnerability of having physical control of the device to extract things from the chipset, which we understand as a shortcoming of both Trezor and Ledger, if they did anything but leak purchasing customers' information from a stupid error by, some third-rate intern that was in there and CC'd everyone and exposed the database of everyone that purchased ledgers. If the technology wasn't still sound, if the device had somehow been compromised and true backdoors were exploited in the firmware, then you have to ask yourself, and this is the same for any type of technology that you employ that is security based. What does a company have to lose? In the case of Ledger and Trezor, they have everything, a reputation that's spanned 2 full Bitcoin cycles. Millions and millions of
their whole, Trezor and Ledger, their whole company is security. So if that's broke, their security is broke, then their whole company goes down the pan, pretty much. Correct. Right?
Correct. Correct. But you ask yourself, what's the liability, right? How about for you? If you find that you're the first day zero attack, you did nothing wrong whatsoever. You start to publish that my stuff was stolen and I did nothing wrong. This was used correctly and blah, blah, blah. And once that comes to light, yes, Ledger or Trezor will go completely down the toilet. They're gone. So that's the way that you judge whether or not to trust a company that's in security, whether or not they have enough at stake that if they are at fault, you stand a chance to, get onto a class action lawsuit and say, I was robbed of $100,000 and I want to get in line as somebody who brought this to your attention early and you poo-pooed it, and other people got rinsed, that type of action gives you confidence where security is concerned. If I said, I've got an antivirus I just came out with today, use it, you'd probably look at me sideways and say, well, I kind of know who you are from this chat, but I mean, what's your funding look like? How long have you been doing it? How many exploits have you identified? How much have you just defended against? What's your track record? What's your run rate? What's your burn rate? What's your future plan? What kind of roadmap have you made good on in the past? What kind of mines do you have working for you? Lots of questions that newcomers into the space are going to have a hard time answering. It's really hard to get into the auto manufacturing space. Now there is a Tesla that has done it, and everyone said it couldn't be done. So I'm not ruling the possibility out, but Elon Musk came with a boatload of investment and has yet to effectively, and correct me if I'm wrong, turn legitimate profit, right? Still kind of coasting, but that's fine as long as the lights stay there.
No, not really. He's turned a profit for the last 4 or 5 quarters, but it's
All
all
right, well, it's
debatable.
recent, but it's recent,
Yeah,
right? It took him a long,
sure.
it took him a long ramp up to get there, but he did it. Good. Once you turn profit in any organization where you got funding, you're gonna stick around unless you have a stumble. What if Elon has, let's say 20 Teslas suddenly catch fire even after he said, "Damn it, I thought we ironed that out." What's the hit he's going to take? What's the wherewithal that he can stand, in the market from such a fiasco? Can he stick around for another 10 years to be able to iron it out and regain confidence in the market? If the answer is yes, he's got that war chest, then great. But if he doesn't, he'll go away. Ford can withstand lots and lots of recalls, right? We know that.
Well, get onto the Tesla part. I mean, we're getting off what the discussion group is with crypto here, but just get onto Tesla, because I followed Tesla for 10 years. I've been invested 10 years. But just the point, what I want to make with them is that, which is kind of ironic, because when you think about it, right, people in America, I'm from the UK, but I live in America, right? So they're like, well, we're losing manufacturing to China. China's this, China's that. We're losing manufacturing. So the car company that's built in the last 100 years in America, which is Tesla, is 100% American made for some time until they had the plant in Shanghai, which is, only 3 years ago. But it was a 100% American car company up until 3 years ago. And the people that say that, well, we're losing jobs to manufacturing to China, we're losing to China. Well, you've got a 100% American car company, and yet you still hate it. There's still so much hate against Tesla. It's unbelievable. What do what do these people want? Tesla employs 100,000 people in America alone, with Gigafactory, Nevada, the Fremont factory. I mean, it's just bonkers to me. The hate against Tesla is just bonkers to me. I'm getting off the subject right now with crypto and all that stuff, but I just don't understand it. They are so far advanced in electric vehicles. It is unbelievable. They've got these gigapresses right now that are filling up. They've got the single casting molds that are built in Italy. I've watched the whole video of this, and you go on YouTube and watch all these videos. They're filled up in milliseconds of aluminum, single mold castings. They're proprietary aluminum, only to Tesla, by the way. And I don't know. I'm kind of ranting here, but I just don't understand how people hate Tesla, and they hate the jobs coming from America and going to China. Well, jobs are going to China. We hate China. This and that. Well, you had an American company, Tesla, the first car manufacturer in 100 years to be built and be successful, and built a factory in Fremont, Gigafactory in Nevada, building solar panels, batteries, and everything, and you still hate them. It's just bonkers to me.
I wasn't under the impression that there was such hate. Is that something that there is in the United States?
It's huge. It's bonkers. I mean, probably the hate for Tesla and the misinformation is absolutely insane for Tesla. It's bonkers. I don't know where, I mean, I'm talking about the left wing media right here that reports this and that and this and that and Tesla. And it's like, for example, they just reported earnings, right? And so Elon sold 75% of Bitcoin, Tesla's Bitcoin, but it doesn't go towards free cash flow. And when they reported the earnings, they reported positive cash flow. And they're saying, well, you only reported positive cash flow because you sold 75% of your Bitcoin. I believe he had $1.4 billion in Bitcoin, and he sold about $1 billion worth. And they still got a bunch of Doge, by the way, which I don't understand why. But and they're saying that the free cash flow was down to because he sold the Bitcoin. It doesn't work that way. If you study the 8Ks, the 10Ks, the free cash flow doesn't work under what he sold under the Bitcoin. The hate's just bonkers, Papa B. It really is for Tesla. I mean, yeah, I'm a Tesla bull. I'm a Tesla investor for a long time. So I could be classed as being biased, I guess, but the hate is bonkers, man. It really is against Tesla. They're the leaders by a million miles. Think about this, Papa B. Look, the White House held an EV kind of seminar thing not so long ago, and Tesla wasn't even invited to this EV seminar in the White House. Wasn't even invited. So you got GM, you got Ford. GM sold 26 EVs in the fourth quarter of 2021. 26. They've sold, I don't know what they've sold in the first and second quarter of 2022. Tesla sold 313,000, I believe. And this is with a lockdown in Shanghai of the second quarter of 2022. With a lockdown. And they still made the numbers, still made crazy numbers. They've opened plants in Berlin. They've got the one in Texas, Gigafactory in Texas, Gigafactory Berlin. It's bonkers, man. I just don't understand where the turn against Tesla. Again, I'm getting, away from crypto and stuff, but it's bonkers how people go against innovation, and they are so far advanced in EVs, opposed from I don't care who you are, Toyota, Audi, Porsche, I don't care. You are nowhere close to Tesla for innovation, not even close to them.
I understand. No. I understand, but you touched on an interesting point. I really hope, and to bring it back to our chat and my previous rant on hardware wallets, I really hope that nobody gets the impression that I'm some crotchety old dickhead. Well, I am a crotchety old dickhead, but beyond the obvious, that I hate innovation in hardware wallets because I'm somehow lazy or set in my ways. The answer is I am looking all the time for something that is going to be the better mousetrap, but it has to address a real threat. That's my requirement. And it has to be a smaller footprint and rely on fewer gadgets and fewer things like your cell phone that is prone to other attacks. The further you expand and the more intricate and ornate and involved and arcane you make your solution in security does not necessarily mean that you're getting better bang for your buck when it comes to securing your funds. So
Well,
that's
no, I mean seriously. I mean, I asked about this wallet you're talking about that Rackham Rochelle was promoting on Twitter. I asked the exact same question last night on this chat. You wasn't here, but Tam was here and a few other people, and nobody heard about it. And I was curious to if anybody had bought it and owned it, and I was curious about. Okay, so you don't link it up to the internet, you don't put a USB cord in it, so it's all through QR code, I'm guessing. I was just interested in anybody had used it, and it's like I'm go back to the same thing what I said up there is that it. My question, okay, it's €400, right? The amount is not what's the security worth? It's not the €400 I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, well, I can still buy a couple of Trezors, a couple of Ledgers, 2 or 3 for that price, actually, or even more. I don't know. But is it better? Is it better mousetrap? That's what I was
well,
asking. Nobody knew anything. I mean,
it's
nobody
still
knew anything about
yeah.
it anyway.
Remember, it's still one seed, one device. So just
Yeah.
for that reason alone, I'd rather have a handful of ledgers running independent, unique, cold derived 24-word seed phrases with passphrases than one engrave at this current juncture. Now, if engrave can compete with the technology, you're right. I would much rather have something nice and solid in the hand from a trusted company with a track record, with the highest of level of encryption possible today on a consumer type of device, which would have to include passphrases. So if they don't have passphrases, I gotta say that no, it's not a better mousetrap.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I think, and there's a few other things too I've seen advertised. I don't know if it's by Rackham, but by somebody else that he had this other cold wallet card. I can't remember what the name was, but I glanced over it, and you go back to the same thing. What ain't broke, don't fix it type deal. I mean, like I say, I'm all in for innovation. Um, big into a big step up in technology innovation, but I just don't see it with these other devices.
Yeah, and I saw on their roadmap, and this is a little bit suspicious as to whether or not their roadmap is truly up to date. NFC support for MetaMask. Remember, we're in DeFi. Just because you can store something doesn't mean that's the device for you. Ledger and Trezor and certain other NFC-based technology can interact with MetaMask. Why would Engrave say that it's coming soon on their website? Why is it on their roadmap? If I can't use it in conjunction with MetaMask, what good is it to a hexagon? Yes, it has the Hex logo on standard, but can I stake with it through MetaMask, which is the front end of my choice? Do they publish? And this is somebody brought to my attention that they believe that it's not BIP39 compliant, which means you can't migrate a MetaMask seed that you've staked from onto it as a migratory wallet. That would also fail for what I preach. But let's just say that that's unconfirmed. I'm sure that they are BIP39 compliant, but if they aren't, then I would categorize them as an outlier, and put them in the category of I don't want to touch that until we have the standard, because I need flexibility to have a wallet fail and instantly port over to a wallet of my choice. Meaning I can have a seed that I derive out of MetaMask. I can migrate it to a ledger. I can have that ledger fail. I can take that seed. I can put it onto a Trezor. I can put it on any number of BIP39 compliant wallets. I would say that it's suspicious if they don't. And I think that the wallet from what is it? What's that browser? Brave wallet, where Richard says don't use that wallet because it's got all sorts of funkiness. They're not BIP39 compliant. So if you had money on the Brave wallet, you wouldn't be able to do anything but a simple send to another wallet over chain to be able to back it up. And heaven forbid you did some kind of time locking on that wallet, you'd be trapped to only their system. And if they have an exploit, you have nowhere to go. So, yeah, I mean, it's not time to claim. You don't wave flags, I think, with new hardware wallets. Let's take them apart and let's decide whether or not it's time to really, trust things. I think that the what is it? The Gnosis safe, I think, is the biggest breakthrough in terms of secure technology for your assets that I've seen come out in the last 5 years, or at least pass muster in the last 5 years, to the point where I'd say that's a damn good alternative. If you absolutely have to have something on your phone, then the Gnosis safe. That's probably the thing that you should be looking at. But then again, they also have a desktop version. So I believe the safety of your own home beats mobile hands down. And only for people that insist, with a gun to my head, they'd say, how do I secure myself? And I want to walk around town and have all my assets at the touch of a button because I have to. Well, I'd say Gnosis safe is pretty damn good. So you see, I am open to new forms of technology. But hardware plus software plus using your phone on top of that seems like a step backwards.
I mean, I look at it this way. If you use a dedicated laptop and you use a Trezor or Ledger to do your interactions with your crypto transactions, and you don't click on any malicious websites, and you don't click on any mysterious coins that happen to come into your wallet, I think you're pretty much covered, right? I mean, there's not much that's going to happen to your laptop that you transact through, Sushi Swap or whatever, whatever you're doing to get your coins. You don't click on a malicious, websites. You don't click on any mysterious coin websites that come in. I think the chance of you getting hacked is like slim to basically nothing, really. It really is.
Right.
I mean, 95% of people that get hacked will say, yeah, my coins have gone missing. Hex19, for example, lost a bunch of his stuff, and he's getting his stakes ended and stuff because they kept the keys on the cloud, the seeds on the cloud, or they clicked onto a website, or they did something stupid, basically. I mean,
well, and also a SIM swap. Don't forget, Hex19 was taken. We still don't know 100% which one of those exploits rinsed him, or he was rinsed through.
If I thought he had these seeds on the cloud, or was I thinking somebody else?
That was one. That was one of many things, though. Not only did he have his seeds on the cloud, but he also got SIM swapped. He was also only using MetaMask. So already I can say that there's 5 or 6 holes associated with all that, right? And he was running the same MetaMask, I believe, both on his phone and his home PC. So was it the cloud backup? Was it the SIM swap? Was it a simple Mars stealer? Was it the fact that he was walking through an airport and connected up with a pineapple in the airport? Was it somebody that compromised his home PC? Was it a keylogger on his home PC? Was it the Mars stealer on his home PC? Was it a backup to the cloud on his Apple account that crossed both his home PC and his phone? Again, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. The key is that had he been using a hardware wallet and operating in the privacy and security of his own home, he most likely would probably, and of course, you add to that the proper handling of his backups, no electronic backups whatsoever, and had he simply written them down, even on paper, and kept them safe and secure in a safe in his home, would he have been rinsed? The answer is most likely not.
I would think almost definitely not. Not most likely. I think 99.999% he would not have been rinsed.
Yeah,
If
but
he would
that's
have
what
had
I
a hard,
mean by most
if he would
likely.
have
That's what I mean
hardware
by most
wallet,
likely. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of common sense, really. But I don't know if it's common sense. I think now, when most people are educated on the chat, where I think a lot of people even, because I've even heard people who was, people coming on the chat. I mean, this is quite a ways ago on this chat, and they were like, "Well, is it even worth getting a hardware wallet? And is it a waste of time? And is it that? And is it this?" Because they don't know, right? Because they buy a coin and it's worth pennies, and then it goes to crazy amounts, and the security so light because there's not a lot of money involved, right? And these cryptos turn into crazy amounts, and now all of a sudden they may have invested $100, $200, and it's turned into 300,000, which is not unusual. Let's face it. If you're in Sheeb or any of them Doge or any of them crazy coins, or even Hex, for example, 10,000 X, but they don't take it serious because it's small amounts. And then when it turns to large amounts, they've still not got the security intact. And they just open, they click onto websites and this and that. I still, the thing is, probably still, people say, well, you get hacked easy in crypto. Not really. You get yourself hacked. 95+% of people that get hacked in crypto are careless. They don't have the hardware wallet. They're clicking onto links they don't know where they're going to. I mean, that's the fact of it. Somebody's not really hacking their computer, right? Taking their crypto. They're kind of giving the crypto up, is what they're doing. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
Hello, Papa.
In a sense, yeah. Go ahead, Adrian.
Who got hacked?
Hacked you.
What?
Nobody got hacked. We're just talking about this conversation started. Maybe I started it. That a lot of people are coming to me asking me about the engrave and what my thoughts are on that. And then it cascaded to basic mindset of people and how they most likely give up their keys rather than get hacked. And it's true. Mishandling of keys has got to be the number one culprit. But because the system is very involved nowadays, crypto's hard. So security of crypto should, of course, be hard as a result. People just don't handle their keys the way they should.
Yep, the same old story. I was reading yesterday that Apple iOS has a new update that fixes 39 bugs. So if a
Nice.
hacker will try to get in that one. And I've read another article that a laboratory from Israel made a method through which they transform a SATA cable into a 6 gigahertz antenna that can emit at 1 meter away.
What?
So basically, without low-level access, they can make a hard disk to write and read, and while doing so, the SATA cable transforms itself into an emitter at 6 gigahertz at 1 meter distance. So imagine that coupled with a 5G phone that can read through that spectrum.
Oh my God. That is crazy.
Yep,
A
there are
static
some
cable
discoveries in
becomes
Israel.
a 6 gigahertz antenna. Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, but you've seen where the Israelis have the Pegasus system, right? Where they hack into your cell phone. That's how they got Jeff Bezos' cell phone with his pics he was sending his girlfriend or whatever. The Israelis had this system for a long time called Pegasus, where they get into your cell phone and where they used to send you a link where you had to click on it and it basically got into your cell phone. Now, Pegasus 2, where you don't have to do anything, where they get into your cell phone and see exactly what you're doing and all that stuff. I mean, it's you're being watched all the time, man.
You know, the U.S. has had technology for the last 20 years to be able to listen in and tap cell phones that that do not have any power to them whatsoever.
Appleby, don't say anything that compromises right now. We might be looked into, but
Well, you can become a person of interest by combining certain phrases. That is true. And even if you don't say those certain phrases, if you are a certain someone that maybe you have a name that overlaps with somebody and they want to consider you a person of interest, they can tie you back to a known terrorist in a matter of seconds based on, a spider web approach of phone calls that were made and a few degrees of separation. And now they have a warrant to be able to live listen to all your conversations, to, extract all of the YouTube videos you've ever seen and how much you viewed on each video. I used to sell a system that would do exactly this.
yeah,
And then
that's pretty scary.
Snowden blew the top off of that industry. Cost me my job, but then that was a blessing in disguise, of course, because I felt pretty dirty doing it.
Yeah, now this job is anyway done by Google AI for everyone. So
Yeah,
no, they
true,
don't need a mandate. You click I
true.
agree.
Yeah, yeah. OSINT is abundant. It is probably just as important as some kind of focused, um, tapping. You can find out about anybody. It's all the information's out there. The question is, do you have a system that is, beefy enough to be able to parse it all and draw all of the legitimate conclusions that would hold up in court? That's all that people in the Department of Defense and local law enforcement are interested in. Can it hold up in court? Obviously, they can go and get you for any number of things, but they need to have a airtight case, or else out the bad guys go back onto the street.
I'm more afraid of a AI decision than of a court because of to get in a court you need to do something illegal, but to have a artificial intelligence decide that you should not be alive, you can get there by doing much less than this, as you said earlier, by just checking what YouTube videos have you watched in the past, for example.
Well, the way that they used to catch people was they would communicate between their groups on a draft folder on Gmail, in code, but they would never send. So they needed to be able to, subpoena those records from Google way back when. And Google doesn't give anything to anybody. Believe it or not, that's their information. That's their intellectual property. They sell it, but they don't give it to local law enforcement. They don't give it to the DoD. So what do? Well, you build a system to be able to tap from the outside, and the private sector came up with it. So yeah, it's two ends of the same rope, right? Is Google has all that information, and the bad guys exploit it. Um, and the good guys can't catch the bad guys with the help of Google, so they develop their own strategy to be able to parse things together. However, I don't think that there's anything that they're looking for, like Adrian motorcycle, wolves in forest. When they hear those words together, it doesn't trigger anything. But if somebody's, researching something like a big public event where a lot of people will be running a race, and people are researching manure, for example, in the same 10 minutes of Google searching what's going on with this big race, then local law enforcement and the FBI will be keyed in, and that person will have a wiretap on them in no time.
Crazy shit.
So I guess the moral of the story is be careful what you're saying over public Wi-Fi.
Yes, always. But once they clear you and you're not really a bad guy, they move on. They don't crash through your window and say, "I heard you say Richard Hart, Big PP, and Red Bull all in the same sentence. Come with us." No, it's not like it.
That might be a problem. Which moves on to the $1 million question I'm going to ask you, Papa B. I know you've been asked 1,000,000 times. Your estimation of the launch date. What do you think your time frame is?
I use the blanket statement of this year, but I got a feeling that, and I know that engineers and developers and managing them is it's an art. It's not a science. Because scope creep can continue things on way above and beyond where you ever thought you wanted to end as a minimum viable product. Some engineer is going to come in and say, I know we can just stretch a little bit and add this feature that the market wants. But then by starting on that, the regression testing reveals that you've broken a whole bunch of other crap. So I got to think that Richard is not timing the market in the least. He'd love to come out yesterday, and that we probably still have another 2 or 3 months ahead of us.
I would go against that, and I would say I would think Richard would time the market, and he's thinking Bitcoin's going to get shredded by 50% probably. Going to go probably down to 11K ish. But he's not going to supersede what the developers are going to the code. But I don't think you would want to. I don't know. I go against that theory bit. I mean, as far as how long it's going to go out, yeah, I could see easily 2-3 months. I could even see it go next year, to be honest with you. But I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. But I think that the timing also, he wouldn't want to get it because he definitely sees Bitcoin getting shredded. And let's face it, all the other cryptos follow Bitcoin. I don't care what anybody says. Bitcoin, Ethereum, the granddaddies, everything follows them coins, period. And if he could launch close to the bottom, nobody can call that. I know that, even though Richard makes pretty good calls for the tops and the bottoms. But he would want to come pretty close to the bottom of that. Of course, with the devs finish the code and all the other stuff. And I would say, yeah, I don't know. It could be 2-3 months. I don't know. But I would like to think that he would, even if the code was perfect, he would still want to launch close as where he thinks would be the bottom, just in my opinion.
Do you know what gives me the best amount, the greatest, deepest amount of warm, fuzzy confidence on this entire thing? It's not that I mind particularly waiting. But in my experience, in all the startups that I've been part of, some very successful, some minorly eked out, to be acquired, and others had to shutter their windows, and the reason was not that their technology wasn't superior and that they had really smart people working for them, but because they simply ran out of cash. And in this case, there's no danger of that, right? There's boatloads of cash, even at $1 million per month burn rate. This project would not run out of cash for decades or millennia.
I think that to be honest with you, Pappy, that even the fact of running out of cash never even entered my head for this project.
Yeah, but that's the
I
only
never
real
never
risk
even thought
in this
about
type of
that.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
the
I
only
never even
true
thought
risk.
about that.
Yeah, it's the only true risk. And once you take that out, it's just a matter of sit back and chill, right? Because there are projects that simply run out of cash and say, nah, it was too hard and it wasn't worth the time. And we don't have the backing of investors to keep the lights on. So we went out, we tried to sell all the portions of our interest that we could, and nobody wants it to the tune of whatever we need to actually make good on our rent and pay all these back fees and you know, back salary that's been missed. Um, we're getting people downsized and we're losing people because they're simply not getting paid. That is a real danger in all these projects that we read about just not doing well or not even for surviving a bear market. In the case of this one, you're right. It didn't cross your mind, but that is the only true downside. That's the worst case scenario is we run out of cash, and that isn't a factor here.
I would say that's definitely not a factor here, and I would say that I still think even with the devs finding bugs in the code and this and that, and he's waiting on the devs, um, I would still think that Richard would want to, even if, let's just say the code was perfect right now, the dev said, right, we can launch it right now. I still think Richard, this is just speculation. I don't know. I still think he would launch it now because he knows Bitcoin's going to drop. And what's the best time to launch your coin is in a bear market, right? The real bear market. People think it's a bear market now. Yeah, it is. But personally, I think Bitcoin could shred 50% from now. So
Yeah, but
we're at 20.
wait a minute. Wait, hold on a second. What if Pulsechain ushers in a new bull market? What if it simply comes on the scene and it changes things?
Well, that's a distinct possibility. And in fact, I think it will. I think it will
So then
change things.
why wait? So why wait for Bitcoin to hit any bottom when your release is effectively going to prevent that bottom from being hit? I think Richard made
Well,
this point
because you,
once in one of his streams.
well, because you've almost got the perfect storm. If you try and hit the bottom of the market, and Richard's pretty good at timing markets, right? Tops and bottoms. If you hit the bottom of the market with a superior product and cheaper fees to Ethereum, think about it. How many people are going to onboard that, and how many X would that be? Potential X to increase. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing out stuff here, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just hoping it will launch soon. But I mean, I don't care when it. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't care when it launches. It's going to launch at some point. It's not going to run out of money. That's 100% guaranteed. I really don't care when it's going to launch. To be perfectly honest with you, but I just think that Richard will want it to be close-ish to that Bitcoin bottom, just in my opinion. I don't know. But it's going to be a superior product. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt about this. It's a superior product. It's going to do awesome when people onboard into PulseX. It's going to be a phenomenal product. And the people that got him right at the beginning, like us, are going to be very handsomely rewarded, in my opinion. And you know, time's going to tell.
We waited a year and a half for Hex. We're not even up to that point yet.
Yeah, but we can. But Papa B, we can wait some more, right?
Of course.
So,
I'm just saying that.
yeah.
I'm just saying, as a community, we've already done the wait for a year and a half, and we haven't even exceeded that this time. So why are we even biting our fingernails? I guess.
Well,
because we know that it's going to be explosive.
Well, I was thinking too, right? I was on. I don't know if you've been on Twitter Spaces with when Richard Hart comes on a Twitter Space deal. I don't know if you've been on them, Papa V, or not. He had one not so long ago, and one of the guys that was doing the Twitter Space, they had Tone Vase and a few other people on too, and Richard basically. The people that he talked to basically technically proficiently tore them apart. But even Tony Vase, but which is not that hard anyway. But the guy that ran it, the host, he even said that when Richard Hart comes on, there's like an extra 1,000 plus 1,500 people come onto that Twitter space, which are obviously Hexicans, right? And or you know, getting into the Richard Hart Hexicans or PulseX sacrifices. And then as soon as Richard Hart leaves that space, they lose like 1,000, 1,500 people. I mean, you know, the Hex, PulseX, Pulse community is real, is huge. And I don't care what token you've got, whether it been the Bitcoin at the beginning, the Ethereum, the Dogecoin, whatever whatever coin you've got, even if you have massive utility, if you don't have the community and liquidity behind it, it's worthless. It's not worth anything. And you know, with the utility that Hex has got and PulseX has got, and the community behind it, I mean, it's a perpetual force that's not going to be able to be stopped. Pissing off a lot of people, but I kind of like that, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm pretty pumped, to be honest with you. I mean, the launch is what it is. I'm not holding my breath. It's going to be some time, and but when it happens, it's going to be it's going to be monumental. It's going to be interesting. The first few days of trading is going to be, god damn, dude. It's going to be bonkers. What do you think, Papa V?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to wear double depend undergarments that day because I'll be otherwise I'll be changing my drawers every 30 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a huge amount. This is going to, I mean, you know, my personal thing, I'm doing absolutely zero, nothing. I'm just holding my bags for whatever, which is historically the best thing to do anyway. But if this thing goes up, how many X, what people are talking about, I'm not making any predictions here. You know, there's going to be a lot of people selling out, buying in, selling, all that stuff. It's going to be a wild. God damn, this thing's going to be wild, man. When it actually launches, fucking wild. Now, my thing is this: when Hex launched, and I wasn't in Hex right from the start. When he launched Hex, how how much? I mean, how was it launched? How did he launch it? How much time did he give? Do you know that, Papa V?
When the AA lobby was open, did he give us any advanced notice? Or did he just get up on live stream and say, all right, the AA is open? I think he said the AA is open. Just like, well, we were waiting for 4 more weeks, 4 more weeks, 4 more weeks, 4 more weeks, and then all of a sudden live stream, okay, the AA is open. And then we all went freaking haywire crazy and FOMO'd in, forgot the warning that he said not to FOMO in day one.
Yeah, it's going to be the same. I think he's going to announce it on Twitter, dude. That's what he's probably going to do. It's going to be bonkers, man. Absolutely bonkers.
Well, that's a problem though, because some people, a good portion of people, do not have Twitter.
I can't hardly hear you, dude. Your mic's kind of wrecked, unless it's just for me.
Can you hear me a little bit better now?
Yeah, a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. I was just saying that'll be kind of bad for some though, because a good portion of people do not have access to Twitter.
But hey, listen, that's just my estimate. He's going to say on Twitter. I mean, what's the other avenues he's got? He's got his YouTube channel. He's got his Twitter, which has got the most followers, which is, I don't know, 250,000 followers on Twitter. I think he's got 50,000 on YouTube. Instagram, I don't even follow Instagram, so I don't know how many he's got. On Instagram, he's just flashing his watches and his fucking douchey bags and all that stuff. As far as I don't even follow the Instagram, but Twitter and his YouTube, that's pretty much his two biggest social outlets, I think, right? So I'm assuming that Twitter's going to be with his number one following, which is, I don't know, 250,000 followers, I think he's got. I would assume that's going to be his number one outlet to announce it, unless somebody else is thinking something else.
Hey guys, I got something to announce.
What's that?
All right, check it out, bro. Get ready for 10 cents hex. As soon as hex hits 10 cents or to 12 cents, we drop in Pulsechain these couple of 2 months.
Maybe, dude. I don't know. Who knows?
I'll tell you why, my brother. I have some insights, right? When we did the sacrifice, he converted everything but hex into stable coins. And now he's holding off because he's about to lose a lot of money if it goes now on 3 cents. We're about to have a bear market rally right now. And we're going to 10 cents and the Pulse is launching. Mark my words.
Hey, you could be right, brother. Who knows? Nobody. You could well be right. Who knows? Could be a couple of months. I mean, it is what it is, man.
The reason he didn't cash out the Hex sacrifice, he didn't want to drive the price down. It's all planned and it's all calculated for this moment.
Why would he ever cash the hex out?
All the people that are complaining, they're stupid because they're lucky whatever they sacrificed, it was snapped at that time, the price was higher. If they would have had the same coins right now, they would have been losing money. So people should be grateful and take it easy and stop fucking complaining.
Look, I look at it this way, right? And Richard's talked about it numerous times. Who are the people that really make the money into crypto? The founders and the people that hold, like Bitcoin, Ethereum. The founders that actually created the coin make the bank, and the people that got in early and held the coins. Now, of course, a lot of these shit projects that went bankrupt and tits up, forget about them. We know Hex is not that. Hex, PulseX, Pulsechain is here for the long term. It's already got a huge community behind it. It's got a ton of cash behind it. It's not going anywhere, period.
Well, whoever is
So,
on this chat and invested, I'm sorry, brother. We are the luckiest fucking people right now. Whoever sacrificed. How about that?
100%. 100%, man. The only question is when it, people are getting antsy when it's personally, I don't care if it's, I honestly don't care if it's launched this year or next year. Me personally, I know a lot of people want to see it launched. Who knows when it's going to launch, but I still think it's going to be down to, obviously it's down to the devs perfecting the code, finding bugs and all that stuff. That's number one. But I still think that Richard wants to get close to that bear market. And I don't think we're close to that yet, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of have a different thinking on that. I think he's gonna launch in this little bear. We're gonna bounce right now, right? Everybody's gonna start thinking that everything's good, and we're gonna have like at least 100 days of bouncing up right now, and we're gonna launch around that time. Probably PulseX and Pulsechain are gonna do about 5x before we slide down from the bounce, because the bear market is not over, my friends. This is gonna be the longest one you guys ever seen.
Well, I still think Bitcoin's going to go to, I think it's going to halve from here. We're at 20, I don't know, I haven't looked at the price, 21, 2,000 Bitcoin right now. I think it's going to halve from here, 50% down. Same with Ethereum. Well, probably not as bad for Ethereum, but I think Bitcoin's going to get half from here. So I think we're away from the bottom of the bear market right now. Bitcoin trades 85% every 4 years. We ain't close to that yet. So I think we're still in for, I think the crypto's in for a lot more pain.
True, but these 3 months, these 4 months, are we gonna have a 20% bounce on Bitcoin? Mark my words. And then we're gonna slide down around November, at the end of November.
Well, you could be right. I don't know. Question is, will PulseX be launched by then? That's the question.
Yes, it would. Listen, on this big bounce, we're about to have a big rally right now, these 3-4 months. PulseX is gonna launch. Everything's gonna launch because Ethereum is about to merge. We're gonna have a euphoria up right now, these by New Year's, and then we're gonna crash again. You guys have a good night, bro. That's all I have to say. Please note that down.
Take care, man.
Gas is at 6 Gwei for those of you that need to do some staking maintenance. Now is a good time.
Well, Papa B, that's one of the good things about this big bear market going on. The gas fees are drastically reduced.
I can't wait for drastically free.
Yeah, me too.
All right, fellas. Good seeing you again, Papa Boner, Jaconator, and the rest of the crew. Check y'all out sometime later this week.
Be well.